to tell you about my background and my current role in Atlas FX, I think I need to go back to my early days in banking. Straight after university, I started, a graduate program. I was on the trading floor, and that was when I started to learn what it means to be in financial markets, what all the financial products on the fixed income side is. And it was a very steep learning curve for me, because I was dealing with all the products from, bonds to rates and FX, of course, that I really liked. And I was into emerging markets, but I was also looking at G10 markets. So it was really, really the experience that shaped my knowledge, I would say, where it all started. Then I decided to go back to my home country, Italy, and I was doing something completely different in a manufacturing company. But actually, that's where I learned how to do, the sort of door-to-door sales, or, how to do the business development, which is something you don't actually do while you are in a bank. It's more relationship-driven. And I spent there 8 years, and I decided then that I wanted to do something a bit more meaningful in terms of, my education and what I really liked. So I sort of drifted back to the financial services. Before joining Atlas FX, I was working for an FX broker. Although I really liked, the product, the setting, it wasn't a perfect fit because I was covering a different type of clients. Whereas here in Atlas FX, my territory is Europe. We get to cover large corporates, so that is a perfect match for them. And most of all, I'm proposing a solution that I reckon is highly needed in the market. And that's probably one of the most satisfying features, for a salesperson, to be actually proposing a solution that corporates really need. So I think the biggest changes we see is in the way people actually interact with the problem they may face. So back in the days, probably there was a more reactive approach to FX and to financial markets in general. People only acted when there was a problem, where there was a loss or a certain P&L that they were not able to explain. Whereas now, probably because, we have seen some shocks in the markets and volatility is generally quite higher than what it was a couple of years ago. The approach is a bit more proactive. So people try to find possible solutions in advance. They try to anticipate, the issues that they might have. They don't dwell on their pain points, but they try to solve them, in a more innovative way. They try to listen more to independent vendors as well. So I guess that's probably one of the changes. So not being only reactive, but trying to be proactive and try to do something on time when it's not, too late and you haven't seen the big loss yet. I guess our strength is to be able to dig very deeply into the FX topic, to be able to be very accurate when reporting exposure, and to also make the treasury department very disciplined. And by the way, also, the business has to be very disciplined in their forecast of the cash flows. Is there something we can do in the future, to make this right? Is there something we can do to edge better? And or do we have to, to change our approach somehow? Does our FX policy needs, some sort of updating? So I guess it's a tool that we don't only provide a tool that gives you a workflow where, you can effortlessly do your processes around FX, but we provide a framework where you can, improve your processes, and you can really make your team, your treasury team, understand what they are doing and why, and be in control of every single aspect of the FX, really. So I guess this passion developed little by little, this passion for macroeconomics. Honestly, it didn't even start when I was at uni. I mean, at uni was more a subject to me. It sort of started in my banking days because I could see the connection, between what's going on, in the major headlines and, how the financial markets react. So after a while, it's like a puzzle and you try to understand how it all fits together. And when it comes to then, this connection, you can have like 100 pieces puzzle or 1,000 pieces puzzle or 1,000,000, depending on your understanding and how deep you want to go. But I guess it's something that then developed even when, I was traveling a lot when I was in the manufacturing industry across, Southeast Asia, the Middle East a little bit, Central and South America. So I guess I got even more interested in, finding out how, different, economics and political approaches were actually driving not only financial markets, but, the major industries of the economies. And then, of course, since I've been back into FX, I've been more focused on, the traditional probably macroeconomic topics of our G10 countries, especially US, UK, European Union. Now it's budget time in the UK, for example. There's a lot of debate around that. I just think, it's a mixture between my passion for financial market, but also a little bit my passion for social issues and, a bit of politics in general. So how to prevent our countries from being just loaded with that and what we can do as citizens. So it's a bit of a mixture between what my profession gave me and what my interests are in my private life. So I think sometimes FX processes tends to be inherited. So one of the major challenges is that the people that then take over these processes and have to, manually process FX data and then ultimately execute, sometimes they sort of lack the big picture around the FX. It's not always the case, but we've seen companies, like even fairly big companies, that inherited past processes, and that creates, a lot of inefficiencies. Like every time you miss, why you're doing something in a certain way, it ends up in a series of tasks, one after the other, that just makes sense because there's an order of the tasks, if I can say that, but there isn't really a reason why the process is structured that way. So I think what can be improved is some sort of digging a bit into not really the operational side of it, but the FX policy, and also how you actually treat your cash flow and balance sheet exposures and why you are doing what you are doing. And sometimes we see there's a bit of confusion around this topic. And this is also why Atlas FX is not only a vendor, but also a sort of consultancy provider, meaning that every time we engage on a project with the client, we also want to be sure that they are in control of their, FX risk management. So if there's anything that, is not too clear, or we think that, could potentially be improved, we always sit down with the client, ask them, and make sure they feel comfortable with what they are doing. And if they need any sort of recommendation, that's always included in our project.